Hello and welcome to the Gifted Ed podcast. I am your host, Megan McCarthy. We are grateful for the opportunity to share this space with you today as we talk about the complexities of giftedness. Today we are excited to welcome Allison Yunkun to the Gifted Ed podcast. Allison Yunkun is a doctoral candidate and an elementary educator at the Avery Coonley School in Downers Grove, Illinois, where she specializes in cultivating leadership, collaboration, and purpose-driven learning.
Can we make a small difference that we can see the impact of? We're not going to solve world problems here in our classrooms, but we can handle small things. And I think the kids understand more when they can see that impact happening, and then they feel, okay, I made a difference and I saw it, I felt it, I heard it.
She designs engaging curriculum, leads a lower school leadership academy, and is passionate about helping students see themselves as capable, compassionate leaders, both in and beyond the classroom. Welcome, Allison. We're so excited to have you.
Thanks. I'm excited to be here.
So it seems like anywhere you look, there's resources, curriculum, TED Talks, etc., all centered around educating students to prepare them for the future and what the future will hold and to be future leaders. Schools have increased in interest in kind of prepping our students for their future selves and making sure that they're equipped with the leadership skills necessary to kind of navigate that world. And so that's what we are talking about today. And so I really wanted to hear kind of what prompted your decision to start this leadership academy for your students.
Sure, that's a great question. So a few years ago, I was running student council here at Avery Coonley School, but it never felt like the right fit for our lower school students. For example, the election process with the speeches and the voting often became more of a popularity contest rather than a true leadership opportunity. So I wanted something more inclusive where every gifted child at this school who was interested could participate and grow those skills. I looked at forming this leadership academy, and it was created to give these students that structured and more meaningful opportunity to practice real leadership skills. So there's no competition, there's no campaigning. So my goal with the leadership academy was to help these students build confidence, agency, and a more authentic leadership identity.
I can very much see how that works, especially with lower school, right? To kind of take the public popularity, that social influence, maybe, if you will, piece of it out, just to give them all the exposure, right, to that skill set.
Exactly. So instead of 2 students per group level, now I have 12 students per trimester. So a lot more students will get exposure to these skills.
And then can you give us kind of an overview of the Leadership Academy and maybe what skills you chose to embed in this experience, specifically knowing that it's for gifted students, what benefits, within that program?
So each trimester focuses on explicit leadership skills. We'll have hands-on projects and we'll have some personal reflection too. The leadership skills are practiced through service. So we will have a project each trimester that the students are really involved in, whether it's kind of more local or more global collaboration with each other, because being a good leader is also working with others. It's not just being the boss. And also that authentic student voice. I want it to be about them learning how to speak for themselves as well as speak for others as a leader. An important thing that we did with the kids was really to start off the whole academy as what is a leader to them. So we came up with a leader really as someone who listens, someone who takes responsibility, somebody who uplifts others, and someone who acts with integrity.
This is bringing me back to a previous episode. I'm not sure how early in it was, but it was introverts and extroverts, right? And so how introverts and extroverts show up within a gifted profile.
Yes.
And as I'm hearing you kind of talk through how you took out almost that personality, not took it out, but didn't make it dependent on a personality trait or type, I should say, maybe not trait. It's just really allowing all students to kind of have exposure.
Yes, and what I'm finding with our group of 12, some of those students are quite extroverted and would probably do fine giving a speech in front of the entire school, while others are definitely more quiet. And they admitted that as we talked about communication, that I'm really not that comfortable talking in front of people. But that doesn't mean they can't be a good leader in one way or another.
Well, and I think just probably to classroom environments culturally, extroverts do get a lot more airtime, just
They
generally
sure do.
speaking. Whether you need that extra processing time to kind of collect your thoughts because you really want to have that intentional, purposeful, or you're brainstorming out loud because that's your way of processing. What is missed is so big probably too if you only account for if the system set up is only accounting for one
We
style.
did do an activity where they got into small groups, and for a few minutes, one person was the leader, while somebody else was the problem solver, and somebody else was like the cheerleader, kind of keeping the team moving. And then after a few minutes, they had to change jobs.
Okay.
And then after a few more minutes, they had to change jobs.
Yeah.
So we talked about what position they would naturally choose.
Yep.
And what position they felt most comfortable in. And it was really interesting for me as well as the students to see, you know what, I'd rather kind of be behind the scenes doing things versus being the loud leader in charge of everything in that sense. And I would rather be the problem solver type of leader or more of the cheerleader type of leader, and how all three roles are very important in a team environment.
Yep. And the value of all of them.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah, they were all
each.
equally important. If you took away one, it would be a problem.
Yeah. Which then also the impact of that just within the classroom environment too.
Yeah. So
is interesting.
We do tie it back to classroom. Like we role play a lot. So we talk about like what would happen if.
Yep.
And then trying to apply it beyond the school. What about your sports team? What about at home with your family? What about in your community? What would this look like? And how would you apply these skills?
That's super cool. Sorry, I may have cut you off because I wanted to follow up with just kind of talking through some of the skills that you embedded in the experience.
Sure. So some of the core leadership skills we talk about is communication, how the leader is not always the voice, but they are the voice of the group that they are leading.
Okay.
So they are the voice of the people, if you will. We talk about decision making, and again, how the leader is not always the only decision maker, that it has to be a conversation with the group. We talk about teamwork and collaboration, which seems counterintuitive as their leaders. But honestly, if you're going to be a good leader, you need to collaborate with your team and with your group.
Yep.
We talk about responsibility and integrity, that the leader can't just do whatever they want, especially if it's not what the group wants. And they have to, if they say they're going to do something, they need to do it. So if the leader says, hey, I have your back, I'm going to make sure that whatever needs to get done gets done, that they do follow through on that. So you can trust the leader.
Okay.
We'll also be working on growth mindset and resilience, conflict resolution, because as we all know, leaders often have to deal with conflict. You're not always the most popular person when you're leading. You need to know how to handle that and resolve it. And then on the flip side of that, working with empathy and respect when you have those issues and those conflicts. And then really what I think a lot of the kids get into leadership and student council type roles is that initiative and that service, that way of giving back to the community. And just the gifted kids really want to kind of share their gifts and share their talents with others.
Yeah. I can see kind of as you talk through those different things were kind of being sparked. And with the service, I feel like that social justice piece and what's fair for all and fighting for those that don't have. I feel like that can naturally fall within that profile. The one piece that I'm wondering is the biggest challenge is if they're the leader and their idea has to be, they have to make their idea, idea smaller, but they have to put more value on someone else's idea, even if they don't think it's the best one.
Yes.
That is such a stretch.
It is difficult. And I think that's why I chose to work with the group level that I did. So we really make sure that every voice is heard.
Yep.
So no idea is a bad idea.
Yep.
We talk through it. We talk about what would be possible if we moved forward and what probably would be the ways that it might not work as well, things that might hold us back.
Yeah.
So...
Which is the decision
Are we
making
going to change the world?
framework.
No.
Right.
Can we change a grade level? Can we make a small difference that we can see the impact of?
Yep.
And that's where I usually steer the kids back to. We're not going to solve world problems here in our classrooms,
Right.
but we can handle small things. And I think the kids understand more when they can see that impact happening.
Yeah.
And then they feel, okay, I made a difference and I saw it, I felt it, I heard it.
Yeah.
It's more that instant gratification, really.
Got it. And just, I could see how empowering this is too, because you
Yes.
see the fruits of your labor very directly impacting your environment.
Exactly.
And two, ideally that they see the power of a whole, like the power of a group versus the power of one.
Yes, we make sure as we go from week to week that whoever had more of a leadership role the week before is not the same leader next week. I break up the groups. We have partners and pairings that are always changing.
Yep.
So nobody seems to ever be the leader. And sometimes I'm the leader in the group too.
Yep.
So they see that as well.
And then two, just going back to like, I think a lot of students get used to hearing kind of the same student voices in the classroom if they're the
Yes.
first to, again, talk and kind of process out loud. So realizing, which I think increases empathy too, that the quieter students who might be thinking more before, their processing is more internal, the value that they can bring to a conversation, should the conversation be structured in a way that allows for all students to participate.
Yes,
In
for
it, too.
sure. Yes.
Okay, so I'm wondering if we can kind of walk through the skills embedded in curriculum like we did, but maybe with some examples of how you kind of reinforce some of the skill sets.
Sure. So we're really working on that self-awareness. So that was a big thing of
Yeah.
it, like recognizing their strengths, their values, their emotions. So there is a real connection to SEL with leadership too.
Huge, yeah.
But just realizing what leadership looks like to you. What kind of leader do you want to be? We talked early on of what your strengths were. And it was interesting. Several of the kids said, my strength is more listening. My strength is more speaking up for when others are wronged. We talked a lot about bullying, and that seemed to be a big topic the
Okay.
first time. I think they see that as a good leadership thing of standing up for others, especially this age level. And then thus that self-management has been very important. So that goal setting.
Yep.
So a leader sets a goal and then they work out, how am I going to achieve that goal? How am I going to achieve that goal for my team, for my group? And then that perseverance, a good leader doesn't give up.
Yeah.
A good leader doesn't try one thing and just not try another. They go back to the drawing board. They talk to their team. They talk to their group. They talk to their peers. And they work through setting a new goal.
Yep.
And then also social awareness, that empathy is so important, and that perspective taking. So we work on that a lot in the class too, or in the group rather too, of, okay, here's my opinion. I think we should all have pizza for lunch every single day because I love pizza.
Right.
And what's wrong with that? Not everybody likes pizza. So
Yep.
we need to be fair and equal and see what happens if we listen to more people's viewpoints. We do that a lot when we have small groups and we're working through a problem. So I'll present a group with a problem to solve. Like something happened at recess where everybody wanted to play kickball, but there wasn't enough room on the field
Okay.
because there was also PE class happening.
Yep.
So how do you make that work?
Yep.
And somebody has to be a leader and speak up. Relationship skills. So again, that building of trust and collaboration and that conflict resolution. What does that look like when you're the leader in that situation? And also that responsible decision making. So making those ethical, thoughtful choices, not just,
Okay.
oh, you're right because you're my best friend.
Yeah.
And
Yep.
making sure you're thinking through what the best choice is, what's the most thoughtful choice.
And the implications of that then too.
Yes.
So a lot of what you're saying in my role as social worker, I obviously think through the SEL lens, right? And blending that all together, which obviously this is, like you said, very, very rooted in SEL. But then a lot of these skills kind of can always be tied back to CASEL, right? That if listeners are aware of it, I know we've referenced it before, but the collaborative for academic, social, emotional learning, where you've already hit on the social awareness, the self-awareness, self-management, decision-making is a skill set, and the relationship skills. So before we end, we wanted to invite a special guest who is currently participating in the Leadership Academy to share her perspective. So thank you so much for being here with us.
Thank you for having me.
All right, friend. Can you please share with us, why did you want to be a part of the Leadership Academy?
I wanted to be part of the Leadership Academy because I like to be a leader, and I wanted to see what being a leader really means and how I can help people in many different ways and be a leader. Also, I wanted to be in student council, so since this replaced it and I don't even have to, nobody has to vote or anything, I can just do it with my friends and still learn almost in the exact same way about being a leader.
Yeah, that's great, isn't it? What is your favorite part about Leadership Academy?
My favorite part is when we get to act out different scenarios about leadership, and there always has to be a leader. And there's always something that we don't quite agree on, but we have to make it work in the 5 minutes we have to plan it, and then it can't get too crazy and stuff where people just there's no team or anything, and people are just on their own. Also, I like when we do the team building activities with a group, and there has to be a leader in different jobs, and there's always something we don't agree on, and we have to solve that problem and that's what makes it challenging and fun.
Yes. So now that you've been in Leadership Academy for a couple weeks, we're past halfway. What is something you're now interested in learning more about?
Well, I want to keep being a leader and keep helping people, but also when I'm in middle school, I want to do student council and see what different jobs I can get, and just basically learn more about helping people and being a leader.
Great.
I think that's so special. And I think it's funny. You weren't here earlier when Miss Yunkun and I were talking about Leadership Academy, but something that you had said about why you kind of transitioned maybe from a traditional student council model in lower school to the Leadership Academy is because of the writing a speech and getting voted and wanting to open up for more students to have that exposure. And I think it's so neat that was one of the first things that you were like, yeah, I kind of wanted to try it because I didn't have to do all that stuff. I could just jump right into what does it mean to be a leader, because that was really important to me. So I think it's really special that was one of the first things that you noted when you and I had just previously talked about that. Well, thank you, Allison, and our special guest for sharing your time and expertise with us today. We're so grateful for this conversation. So thank you both for being here.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you.
So before we close out today, I wanted to end with our reflection question, which is if you could take a moment to reflect on your classroom procedures, which leadership skills are reinforced within your classroom already? And just to review, the skills we talked through were communication skills, decision-making skills, teamwork and effective collaboration, responsibility and integrity, growth mindset and resilience, conflict resolution, empathy and respect, and taking initiative and service. And then our call to action is something we'd love for you to try is thinking about the list of leadership skills we discussed. Can you think of additional ways to embed 2 of them into your classroom culture? We want to thank you for joining us in this space today. Please subscribe to the Gifted Ed podcast to stay up to date with our latest episodes. Stay tuned for our next episode that continues to unpack the complexities of giftedness.